we're going to be shifting. For those of you who have been with us on this chakra journey, we're shifting into Vishuddha, and we have got some really cool things to talk about. Super duper duper cool. You are going to love it, if I may say. So, okay. So, let's do bee breath. Okay, we're going to start with bee breath. And bee breath, if you've never done it before, it's incredibly good for anxiety. And I want us really to start connecting to Vishuddha. Vishuddha is the throat chakra. So with bee breath, you can do it a variety of different ways. You can take your thumb and put it here. You're not jamming it inside your ear. You're putting it here to close, using this little flappy thing. I don't know what that's called. This little flappy thing to close the ear. So you're putting your thumbs here. And as soon as you do that, and you keep talking, you're going to be like, you feel more resonance inside your head, right? And we want to feel it in our throat too. So we're going to close our ears. And with this, you can do like this. Or you can put your fingers alongside, like putting one alongside the nose, one on the bridge of the nose, and kind of going up, okay? And then we're going to hum like a bee. This is really good for lowering anxiety, okay? So close the eyes, go inside, and I want you to really feel it bringing down into the throat. We'll obviously be doing this for Ajna Chakra as well, but I really want you to feel it in the throat as well. Okay, so we're going to do it 3 times. Nice big inhale. Nice big inhale. Last one. And then come to an easy seat and close the eyes. And breathe into the throat. Vishuddha. Vishuddha. The color is turquoise. Breathing here, feeling Vishuddha, enlivening. Eyes are closed, rolled up and in. And then let's roll the right ear down towards the right shoulder. And if you're like me, I always, every single time, I always have to tell my right shoulder to relax. My right shoulder always tenses up as if it's getting ready to jam up towards the ear. We don't want that. We want the arm to be heavy, the shoulder relaxes down. And then roll the chin down towards the chest. And the left ear to the left shoulder. Just opening up the neck. Chin comes down to the chest. Right ear towards the right shoulder. Landing here in Vishuddha Chakra. And Vishuddha Chakra, Vish means poison in Sanskrit. Shuddha means purification. So just rolling the head back and forth, closing the eyes if that's comfortable. So this is the space of purification. This is the place where we internalize life's challenges, the toxicity, and turn it into lessons. We've been talking about that, haven't we? We've been talking about how the universe always has our back. The universe is never against us. The universe, when it sends us challenges, it's because we need to learn from these lessons. back to the chest and just allow the chin to just relax down, stretching the muscles at the back of the neck. Eyes are closed. And then bring that chin up. And come on to hands and knees. So, the deity, the Hindu deity, and as I've said to you all, for those of you who follow me, you know very well that I am not Hindu. But it's so interesting to hear the stories from these, perspectives in light of the fact that yoga is rooted in India. There's still a lot to learn, even if you don't believe in these particular gods and goddesses. And for Vishuddha Chakra, Anand Mehrotra, who is the teacher of the class that I'm currently taking, so just rolling back and forth. Remember, we exhale into our cat, really bringing the chin in towards the chest. And then we inhale as we lift into our cow. Do a few more rounds of this, having this feel really good in the body. Pausing if you find any places where you're like, oh yeah, that needs love. So Anand was sharing a story, which I really loved, and I wanted to pass it along to you. And forgive me if I paraphrase it a little bit. I'll do my best. So, with the creation of the world, these people, devas, saw, this procession of different entities. And they saw a goddess called Saraswati. And Saraswati is the goddess of wisdom. Walk the hands forward, plug the hands in, curl the toes, lift the hips, and walk your feet out. And they greeted Saraswati and let her go along her way. And then came Lakshmi. And for those of you who were with us during the heart chakra, we talked a fair amount about Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of love. She's the goddess of abundance. And she is a gorgeous figure. Glide forward, plank pose. She's just bedecked in, gold and gems, and she's beautiful. So the people started chasing Lakshmi, started chasing abundance, chasing love. And then bring the hips back up, exhaling. And inhale forward. And every time they pursue Lakshmi, chasing her, and there would be times when they'd get really close. And then just as they were about to catch her, she would disappear. Drop that right knee down. Roll onto the long edge of the left foot, hand underneath the face, nice big circles. Inhale up into your Swadhisthana. And as they saw, as they just missed connecting with Lakshmi, capturing love, capturing abundance, roll down. She would leave behind her gold and gems, and the people, of course, pick up the gold and the gems, pour energy down that left leg, pressing into the ball of the foot, opening the back of the leg, opening the back of the knee, opening the calf. Another breath. And then flip that left leg up. Roll the foot on the ankle. And really feel the length of the neck. Feel the length of the neck. Another breath here with the strength of the leg. And then bring that leg out to the side. Coming up into gate pose. So your foot is in line with your knee. Long edge of the foot on the floor. Hand is on the leg. And then just side bend, open into gate. Your hand is so light on this knee. No downward pressure onto the knee. That's obviously not good for it. And then inhale up. And then hand goes kind of like balancing half moon arm, about 12 inches in front of the foot, about 6 inches out to the side. Put your hand on a block if you need a bit more height. Okay. And then we're going to balance on that hand, catching the foot if you'd like. Pour energy into that leg, lifting up. Opening up the shoulder, opening up the heart, opening up the throat. Another breath. And then release. Hands come down under shoulders, knees come down under hips. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, arch. So the people seeing Lakshmi, having just missed Lakshmi, of course they pick up the gems, they pick up the gold. You know, they stuff their pockets. They wrap it around themselves. And when Anand tells the story, he says they even fill their mouths. They fill themselves up with all this stuff. And then there's Lakshmi, and they chase her more. And they go through lifetimes chasing abundance, chasing love. And finally, one wise soul says, you know, we're obviously not doing this right. Another breath. And then let's bring that right leg back, stretch it back. Feeling the strength in the right leg. So they go to Narayana. And they ask for help. This is a teacher, a god, a wise one. And they say, we've been chasing Lakshmi, and we can never catch her. We can never catch abundance. We can never catch love. And Narayana says, well, did you see Saraswati? And they're like, oh yeah, we saw Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom. Bring that leg out to the side. Coming into gate pose, long edge of the foot presses down. Matching up your knee with your foot. Coming up. And then we just gently side bend over that right leg. The right hand extends down the leg. Incredibly soft, virtually no weight on those fingertips. Just using it for a little bit of balance. And then we come down, hand in front of the knee and out to the side. Taking your foot back. So Narayana says, well, you know, he looked out and he says, well, let's find Saraswati. And when he did find Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom, he bowed down at her feet. And immediately Lakshmi appeared. Another breath. And release. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders. So, Vishuddha is one of the first seats of wisdom. And the really beautiful thing, obviously heart and throat being next door neighbors. Curl those toes under. Come on back. Reach back. Catch the feet. Curl the pinky toes under so the pads are on the mat. Lightly grip the feet and lift up into your rabbit. So Lakshmi and Saraswati are, I'm using the word that comes to mind is sisters. They are partners, right? Wisdom and abundance. They go together. They go together. Come on back into your down dog. Lifting the tailbone up, settling the head down. So that's going to be our exploration for this series, is how we can start shedding avidya. Avidya in Sanskrit is the word for ignorance. And Patanjali shares, breathing here into your dog, another breath, and then flip that right leg back and up, stretch it up, reach it up. Patanjali says that there is nothing more fertile in the universe than the field of ignorance. Lucky us, right? Knees right over ankle, hands frame the foot, pouring energy down the leg, out the heel. So the invitation here in this first class, letting that knee settle down. So we're in low crescent. Feel the hips release and relax. Roll the shoulders down. Grow the neck long. So the invitation here is for us to start cultivating a beginner's mind. Another breath. Set those hips back, toes stay down. Because what can be so incredibly hard is that when we feel like, okay, but I've got this figured out. I know these things to be true. I know these things to be true. Walk those hands forward. And that keeps us locked. It keeps us locked into a certain perspective on the world. It keeps us locked into a way of how we should be. It keeps us locked into our persona. It keeps us locked into our expectations. It keeps us pretty locked down. Set those hips back, toes rise up, breathe into the back of the leg, folding over. And inhale forward. And one of the things, and we're going to talk more about this in a future class, but part of the reason this is so incredibly important for us to cultivate a beginner's mind, a mind where we just open ourselves up to doing our best. I'm not saying any of this is easy. Curl the back toes under. Left hand comes down, right arm floats up, turn and look. Extending the twist into the cervical spine. Breathe. And then bring that hand down. Ground the hands. Step it back. Walk your dog out. Part of the reason this is really important for us to start kind of exploring our mindset is that one of the things that Anand shared, and I haven't even listened to the full lecture for Vishuddha Chakra yet, glide forward into your plank. And then lift the hips up, down dog. But one of the things that he shared is that we kind of race around in life, glide forward, plank pose. And lift the hips up. And then let's step that left foot forward. Knee again is right over ankle. Hands frame the foot, pouring energy down that right leg. So we go through our lives and part of our scarcity mindset, drop that knee down, is that we're looking for what's broken. Right? Top of the foot on the floor. Shoulders down the back. Nice long neck. Let the hips release down. So as part of this scarcity mindset, we're looking for what's broken. We're looking for the problems to fix. So we're looking for these problems. And this makes us feel like, one, we're in control. Set those hips back. Toes stay down. And then inhale forward. And it also makes us feel like we're making progress, right? I'm becoming more wise. I'm becoming kinder. Whatever it is. Exhale back, toes rise up. Folding over the leg. Nice heavy heel on the left side as you breathe into those hamstrings. because of this avidya, this ignorance, this field of ignorance, the most fertile thing in the world, field of ignorance. Curl those back toes under. Right hand comes down and we twist open to the left. Beautiful, strong legs. So in looking for these problems, in our mind constantly, consistently looking for these problems, very often our mind is crafting these problems. Another breath. And bring the hand down. So that's part of the path, right? Of trying to create this beginner's mind where we see things with fresh eyes, because you know, our mindset, our expectations can often be part of the problem. Tailbone rises up and the head just melts down, releasing any tension in the neck, rolling the head. You know, and I witnessed this. It happens all the time with myself, but I witnessed it really clearly in a conversation I had recently with a girlfriend who was brilliant and wonderful. Glide forward plank pose. And exhale, come on up. So we were talking about, you know, her plans for the weekend. This happened just a few days ago. And she says, well, I'm going out to, on Saturday, and I'm going to be totally, like, off the grid with my sister. We're going to go out and we're going to have massages and go shopping. And she still looked a little disgruntled. She's the mom of 4. Her littlest one is still pretty young, 3 years old. Glide forward. And then knees come down. Widen the knees and sit back, child's pose. Toes can be curled under or the tops of the feet can be on the mat. And just allow the forehead to come down. And I said to her, sorry about that. That's what you get when you use your iPad to watch a movie and forget to turn off the volume. So I said to her, I said, well, that's great, right? And she's like, yeah, but he needs to recognize that I need this. I'm like, I have to ask for it. I have to go out and I have to take it. And I said, well, you know, when we were at the pool pretty recently, I said to your husband, hey, we're going to take a girls' weekend and we're just going to go out and we're going to, you know, take the weekend to ourselves. And he immediately responded with, sure. Okay? And walk the hands up. Curl the toes, lift the hips. And, you know, and there was still this, like, you could tell, I could see that there was a resistance in her. Come on up into your down dog. Head hangs heavy. Where she was resisting, like, you know, her mind had created a problem. And as far as I could see, there's an easy path here. She just tells him what she needs, and she makes it happen, right? Because that weekend, which he said was okay for us to do, this girls' weekend, it has not been scheduled. And I said, let's choose a time, and she has not scheduled it. Float that right leg back and up, stretch it up, reach it up, and step it forward. So very often, we get kind of settled, right? Coming into our Virudasana 1. Lifting up. Oh, I didn't think of a mudra for our Vishuddha Chakra. I'll have to do that for next class. Really opening the heart, breathing here. But we settle into this dynamic. We settle into this mindset of how we see the world, and we create our own problems. And that's what she was doing. She was creating her own problem. You know? Because not only did she want something to be a certain way, but she wanted him to give it to her in a certain way. And we do that a lot, don't we, with our relationships? Feet are hip width apart, leg is straight, front leg is straight with a little bit of a micro bend to that knee. Hips are square, so you can bring your fingers to the hip points, make sure they're pointing towards the short edge of the mat. And then we glide down. Maybe the hand stays on the hips, maybe the hands come under the thigh, they come onto the shin. Maybe you take your blocks, you put your hands on blocks. Okay? You do what suits you best. Keep gliding that right hip back, left hip forward, folding down. And feel the head relax, feel the neck open. So very often, just like this girlfriend, we box ourselves in. We create our own problems. And this work that we're going to do here is just starting to give ourselves the skills, the perspective on crafting the way out. And sometimes the way out really means bending into that foot, hand step forward, and lift up into your standing split. Another breath. And then walk the hand forward and come into your balancing half moon. So the left hip stacks on top of the right. The left arm reaches up. Maybe that right hand is on a block. Maybe you carried your block with you. Pouring energy down the left leg. Another breath. And then bend that leg and step it back. So this beginner's mind, this, as best you can, just trying to let go of your preconceived notions. Let go of, your mindset, where you've got a lot of assumptions. Widen those knees, touch the toes, sit back, child's pose. Right? Just breathe in here. Another breath. And then come on up, plug the hands in, curl the toes, lift the hips. So is it possible for you, float that left leg back and up, stretch it up. Is it possible for you to just start exploring this beginner's mindset? Left foot steps forward, we're going into our Vira 1. Lift up, open the heart. I have got to turn the fan on. Okay. All right. Breathing here in your Vira. And then straighten that leg. Feet hip width apart, soften the left knee, square the hips forward, and come on down into your pyramid pose. And remember, you can leave your hands on your hips, you can put your hands on your thigh, your hands on your shin, you can bring your hands down onto blocks, and keep gliding that left hip back, squaring the right hip forward. Little bit of a bend to that left knee, folding down. Head hangs heavy. Another breath. And step off. So starting to just play with the idea, coming into your standing split. Hands are in front of the foot. Right leg reaches up as you bring the nose towards the knee. Another breath. And then left hand into your Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon. Remember, you can totally put your hand on a block. Another breath. And bend that leg, step it back. Handspring the foot. Come on back into your down dog. Head hangs heavy. Roll the head on the neck. So when it comes down, brain coming down onto the knees, touch the toes, child's pose. When something riles you up in life, when you have to, ask your significant other for something you wish that they would just offer you on their own, maybe stop and say to yourself, is there another way that I could look at this? Is there another way I could see this? Just gently kind of opening yourself up to another perspective. Another breath. Come on up. And if this is really, really hard for you, maybe you team up with someone. And if you choose to team up with someone, onto a seat, soles of the feet together. Oh my gosh, nice, that's so funny. I love it. Binja never. Binja never. Oh, the knees fall open. Elbows on the inner thighs, lows needs to drop down. And your Baddha Konasana, your cobbler pose. So if this is really hard for you, if you're like, you know, it just, oh my gosh, just push my buttons when blah, blah, blah happens. Maybe you look for someone in your life who you know isn't going to be the kind of person who's going to fan the flames. Like if you've got a girlfriend who loves to commiserate, girlfriend or, you know, a male friend, either one, coming into your wide-legged stance, lifting up. So whenever I go into wide-legged stance, I always put my hands behind me, tent the fingers, and I lift up and I roll the pelvic bowl forward. So you can get your chunky bits, as I lovingly call them, out of the way. And what that does is it plugs your sits bones, which is your ischial tuberosities, I love that word, into the ground, which helps roll your pelvic bowl forward. And that gives you a nice tall spine. Okay? Now, if you're like, Laura, my pelvic bowl is not rolling, it's stuck, then grab a blanket and put it under your glutes so that you still kind of roll the pelvic, the sits bones off the blanket. So it gives just a little bit of extra height to the back of your seat to allow your pelvic bowl to roll forward. Okay? And then we're just going to walk it forward, just nice and slow. So let's say you're really locked into a certain mentality and you just feel stuck. So if you can find someone in your life and frame it out with them, don't expect that they're going to understand what you want. Say, look, I really want to look at this situation in a more positive light, but I need help. So I'm going to tell you what's going on, and then I'm going to ask you to help me see it maybe from a different perspective. See it from a way that, you know, is there a lesson here to be learned? And you might need to kind of experiment with this a little bit, maybe with the people you partner with, because someone who you think is really good at it might be like, oh, that wasn't helpful at all. And other people might surprise you. And, you know, there can be a very natural tendency, like, you know, the whole misery loves company. So if you like really lead with a lot of energy of, oh, it makes me so mad when so-and-so does blah, 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 that person can jump on your bandwagon. That's not what we want, okay? We want to explain, you know, hey, you know, I feel like, you know, I'm a mom of 4, I'm really busy, and I feel like I need more support, I need time for myself, but I feel like, you know, my significant other never offers this to me, and I have to step forward and take it, and that's hard for me, you know, and then partnering with this person so they can kind of talk you through, like, hey, are there different ways for me to see this? You know, are there different ways for me to handle this? Okay? So maybe thinking through now. And if you're new to my class, I've been talking a lot today. And I often talk a lot, but I'm going to give you more space here going forward to just start thinking about places in your life or maybe it would be good for you to start practicing having a beginner's mind. Breathe in here. In your forward fold, wide-legged, seated forward fold. And then walk it up. And bring the sole of the left foot into the right thigh. Right arm goes alongside. And just a gentle kind of opening up. So we're kind of opening the torso to the left. And the left arm goes up. And then we fold over. So just keep thinking, where in my life could I just start cultivating a beginner's mind? Opening myself up to a new perspective on this situation, on this facet of my life. And allow yourself to keep melting down, making sure that the top arm is really right overhead, which means you should be able to look past the bicep right up at the ceiling. If your arm is dropped down like this, it means you need to sit up. And open the heart again and come back over. And then inhale it up. And let's switch sides. And if nothing comes to mind right now, that's fine. It's totally fine. I always joke with you all saying that I love to think that my persona is that I'm a deep thinker, but what might be more accurate is that I'm a slow thinker. So if you're like me, and you're like, I don't know, then you're in very good company. So again, you can easily look past the bicep at the ceiling as you side bend over. Stretching it out. This is so good for the spine. Allowing yourself to melt down. We're not forcing ourselves into any conception of the pose. And as soon as that shoulder starts dropping down, we sit up again so the shoulder stays back. Another few breaths. And come on up. Awesome. Bringing the soles of the feet together again into our gracious pose. Let the knees fall open. Again, bringing the fingers back and lifting yourself up, rolling the pelvis forward. So the pelvic bowl is tilted forward, and then pressing the knees down. And you can lean to the right as you glide the left knee down. And then you can lean to the left as you glide the right knee down. And then you can fold forward. And if you have a block, where did my block go? There it is. Or maybe 2 blocks. You might be like, Laura, I need like a stack of like 5 blocks. But if you have a couple of blocks and you can lean forward and get your forehead down onto the block or blocks, beautiful. If not, no worries. And breathe in here. Another breath. And come on up. And take your block or blocks. I'm actually going to grab 2 blocks today. So we're going to go into bridge and then supported bridge. And grab your strap if you have a strap. Okay. So we're going to lift. Ah, nice. Yeah, absolutely. Davika, absolutely. So the class is called The Path to Radical Self-Mastery. It's offered through Hanuman Academy. And they've got a lot of different things. I was just chatting with the founder of Hanuman Academy recently because one of our students is interested in taking the class. So our feet are up towards the hips, palms down. Arms are nice and long. And then we're going to pour energy into the feet as we roll up. So Courtney said that it will be at least a year until they offer the class again. So I'm afraid that the one that I'm going through, they don't offer it all that often. So, but it is an amazing class. I've really enjoyed it. So we're lifting up and down into our bridge pose and down. So there's a variety of locks, right? We've done some locks over the course of our studies together. There's Muladhara, Mula Bandha, excuse me. Muladhara is the name of the first chakra. Mula Bandha is the root seal. Seal as in S-E-A-L, seal, to seal something up. So root seal or root lock. And then there's Uddiyana Bandha, which is our solar plexus lock. And then the third lock of the body is at the throat, Jalandhara Bandha. So we're going to do some Jalandhara Bandha in our supported bridge. And we're doing it now. When you bring your chin in towards your chest, this is very stimulating to the throat. It's very good for those of us who have hypothyroidism. It's very stimulating to the thyroid gland. A lot of us, especially women, have lazy thyroids. So this is very good, very stimulating for the thyroid. Let's do 3 more of our bridge, lifting up and down, half bridge. Keep thinking about those places in your life where maybe you're like, I could really use some help, or I could do some work on seeing things differently. And if you're still like me, where you're like, I need help, I don't know. So coming into unsupported bridge, rolling the shoulders together, clasping the hands underneath the hips if that works for you, or your palms can still be down. Lifting up, really snuggle the chin down towards the chest. Again, Jalandhara Bandha, throat seal. Very stimulating for our throat chakra. Breathe in here. What I invite you to do is start thinking about what keeps happening in my life. What keeps surfacing? Where do I feel like I'm on a merry-go-round where it's like, oh, there it is again. There it is again. That challenge, that thing just keeps happening to me, because that's the universe saying, you really need to learn this lesson. We're lovingly sending you the opportunity to learn again because you didn't learn it before. Another breath. And then grabbing your block or your blocks. Now the block goes like this underneath the sacrum. Doing it like this so you can see it, width, okay? And that's us taking care of our SI joints. Melting down onto the block. If you're like, I'm pretty tall, so I'm going to add a second block on top of the first, so I get some more height, but I still have the width across the body. And the reason that that's important, if this is new to you, is we did some really interesting work with supporting the sacroiliac joint. And if you have your block be tall like this, you're putting the sacrum just on the block, but then the hips are off of it, which destabilizes the SI joint. So that's why we're doing it nice and wide. And then again, we're snuggling the chin in towards the chest. The color is turquoise. Breathe in here. And the sound is hum. Hum. H-U-M. Hum. Hum. So while you're in Jalandhara Bandha, if you want to start vocalizing, you can be hum, 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 hum. And really feel it in the throat, especially with you in this pose. Now, if you're like, Laura, I've got no blocks, well, then come on down. Come on down as you're ready. For those of us who are in supported bridge, obviously we can hang out here because we're just kind of chilling. Do your best to keep your thigh bones parallel. Your knees are naturally going to want to splay open. Chin in towards the chest. Hum. Stimulating the throat, opening Vishuddha chakra. The color is turquoise. Another breath. And you can either chill here in supported bridge for another few breaths, or if you'd like, you can bring one leg up, or you can bring both legs up. Now this is if you've got the block nice and broad because you're really stable. Breathing here, continuing to really bell the heart towards the face, chin in towards the chest, and breathe. Breathe here. This is a beautiful inversion. If you're on your cycle, this is not a great pose for you, okay? So this is all about reversing the flow of energy, and when we're on our cycle, we want the flow of energy to be very downward, appana. So we don't do inversions during that time of the month for us. This is like a variation of Viparita Karani, legs up the wall pose, which is extremely good for us. And if you don't have any blocks, you can just have your legs go up the wall. This is referred to as the pose that conquers aging and death. Which I'm like, sign me up. Another few breaths. And gently roll it down. Coming down easy and soft. Lifting up off of the blocks. Get the blocks out of the way. And roll the spine down. And allow the spine to normalize. Eyes are closed. And if you'd like to take your cobbler pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining cobbler, bring the soles of the feet together. I have absolutely no idea what time it is. Holy moly! What time is it? It's late. It's late. Let the knees fall open. Palms are up. And breathe here. In your reclining cobbler. And then as you're ready, extend the legs long. And as I always say to you, this is your practice. So if you're like, oh man, before Shavasana, I'd really love to do blah, blah, blah. My invitation is for you to do that pose. And then as you're ready, just settle down into your Shavasana. So if you still have a blanket nearby, maybe roll the blanket up and put it underneath the knees. Maybe lift the tailbone up and roll down the back so the sacrum is nice and flat. You can also come up onto the elbows and roll the shoulders like you're kind of trying to curl them around the heart so that the back part is nice and flat when you melt it back down onto the earth. Palms are up. And just breathe here. Breathe here, opening your heart to your exploration of wisdom. Saraswati. Welcoming her into the throat. goddess of wisdom. And just allow everything to go now. So a few quotes from Rumi about wisdom. Rumi says, "The work is always inside you. The knot does not get untied by listening to the stories of other people." And then Rumi also says, "Wisdom is like the rain. Its source is limitless, but it comes down according to the season." So opening yourself to this season of wisdom, planting the seeds that will bring you wisdom. Breathing. And then as you're ready, bringing movement back to the body, wiggling fingers and toes. Rolling the head on the neck. Rolling the hands on the wrists, the feet on the ankles. And then carefully rolling over onto the right side, cradling the heart. And rocking back and forth, giving yourself so much love. Lakshmi, the goddess of love and abundance. Breathing into the reality that by welcoming wisdom into our lives, we'll be more open to love, more open to abundance. And then carefully press yourself up into an easy seat. Bringing the hands to the heart space. Nice big inhale, and we're going to hum and then om out. So the first one is hum. Nice big inhale.